Hey, my friends, welcome to the Dallas Daily Show, coming at you from the Neighborhood Loan Studio here in St. Louis, Missouri. So, as part of the Dallas Daily Show, we occasionally are going to have a guest on with us. We're going to make it part of like that midweek mind shift every now and again. When I first had some of these conversations, we were looking at doing another podcast. We were looking at doing a whole separate podcast. But I just thought these would be great Dallas Daily conversations with people I know, people I love, people I honor, people I respect. And so that's what this is going to be. Extra added bonus episode for you. Today, we are talking with one of my absolute favorite people on the planet. I will introduce her in just a moment, but you're going to love this conversation. She has influenced my life so much in the last 2 years. And I can't wait for her to affect some change in your life as well. So today on the call, in person, I guess I should say, we're going to talk with Tessa Greenspan. So let's go ahead and get into the conversation. Hey, everybody. I am so excited about today's guest. She is the author of the book, From Outhouse to Penthouse, Tessa Greenspan. She is a mentor of mine. She is a dear friend of mine. She has helped me get to the next level in my thinking. And we're going to hear a little bit about her story today. Tessa, my friend, welcome to the Future You Leadership Podcast.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm thrilled to be here, and especially with you, Dallas.
You're one of my favorite people on the planet.
And you're one of mine. So it's a mutual admiration.
Yeah, it is the Mutual Admiration Society here. So you and I met a couple of years ago through a mutual friend, through my business partner, Jeff Kozatek.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And he had met you. I don't even know how he met you.
With Heather Kreider.
Okay. Heather's awesome, by the way. For those of you in the St. Louis area, you should connect with her too. But Jeff and I had been reading the book, Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life by Bob Proctor together. And here's what the amazing connection was. Jeff had met Tessa, and on her book, Jeff started talking about paradigms with you, and he said, boy, we've been reading this book by Bob Proctor together, and you said Bob Proctor wrote the foreword of my book. And so that's how you and I connected originally, and it's just been a great synergistic friendship since then.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And how this happened is I was going to a Matrix program of Bob Proctor's in Toronto, and I really had taken a lot of his online classes, and I finished the manuscript. I didn't have the book in print yet. I had the cover. And before I even met him, I said foreword by Bob Proctor. Well, this...
you literally had a mock-up of the cover,
yes,
that actually cover said foreword by Bob Proctor. Hadn't even met him yet.
Had not met him at all. He didn't know who I was yet. So when I went, it was a week-long self-development program. Mm-hmm. I went and took the manuscript. The print was not ready yet. And I asked him, when I got a chance, I said, would you read this manuscript and write the foreword for me? He said, sure.
Oh.
So that really, for your clients, I would say it's really important to put out there what you want, even if it's not in the whole arena yet.
I think that's one of the biggest lessons that you and I have worked with together, because one of the things that Bob talks about in all of his books and all of his studies, and he regularly is mentioning some of the greats, Napoleon Hill, Earl Nightingale of the Nightingale Conant Association, these people who said, you will become what you continually think about.
Exactly. So think about this, everyone. You will become what you think about.
Over and over and over again.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of like it's a subconscious targeting system.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where when you continually think about it, whether it's a good thought or a bad thought, if you are obsessing about it, and you and I were talking about this just on our one-to-one call this week, on our coaching call, mentoring call, if you continually are thinking about it, even if it's a fear, if it is a negative outcome attached to a strong emotion, it's going to happen.
Absolutely. And what we think about goes into our subconscious mind. And so our subconscious mind starts working on this, because it's like your hard drive. It isn't thinking, it just is doing what it said. So if you say that I'm ugly or I'm not successful, whatever, then your subconscious mind is going to help you to be exactly what you're thinking.
Yeah.
So what you think about is so important.
And I think one of the biggest keys, especially that I have learned, is even when we first started talking, I would always give a qualifier. I would always say, well, this is going good, but this is not, but I'm also waiting for the other shoe to drop, but this might not happen. And you flat out said to me, I think it was our first or second call, about 3 or 4 times in a row, you said, Dallas, get rid of the but.
Yes, yes. So when you're saying but, then that negates everything that you're doing. So it's really important. There are some really words that really I have a passion about teaching people, and that is but. If is another, or try is another. So I have all of these words that doesn't help you. So if we can just be aware of it, and the way to be aware is just say, I now am aware of when I say these words that are not helpful to me.
That is the key word, awareness,
Yes,
right there. And when we talk on this show with everybody about becoming the future version of you, especially as a leader, whether it's in business, in your home, in your family, becoming the future version of you, we spend so much time trying to not become the old target.
Exactly.
Break the habit. Oh, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that. And then we're surprised when we become that, and it's the only thing we've obsessed about.
This is so important, Dallas, and you know that, and we've talked about that quite often. What you think about comes about. That's really one of my favorite phrases. What you think about comes about. So think good thoughts. Think about yourself, of how great you are, how happy you are, how much you love yourself. These things, be careful. And if a thought comes to you, just say cancel, delete, and then go into your positive.
All right, we're going to have to get into that a little bit. We got to get into the cancel, delete. So again, everybody, the awareness factor is simply become aware of your thoughts and become aware of just the things you say by rote.
Exactly.
And there's stuff that we say that doesn't serve us.
Exactly.
Doesn't serve who we hope or want to become. And so when we start finding those things that are negative scripts that we want to get rid of, you just said the phrase, but can you unpack this idea of cancel, delete again?
Well, it's really important because, one, if you don't cancel something, it's still always there. So it's really another prompt for you to cancel that thought, the negative thought.
Sure.
So when you say to yourself, I am now aware of negative things, and I am canceling and deleting all negative thoughts. So again, what you say to yourself is so vitally important.
Yeah. So if you're saying something negative and you catch it, you literally have to then say cancel, delete, replace it with the positive script.
Exactly.
I think so often we also just play out the scripts we've been taught. But like, especially in leadership, we're told teams never deliver on time. And then we start going, oh, my team never delivers on time. And then all of a sudden we're surprised when our team doesn't deliver on time because we've said it 20 times versus cancel, delete. I am so happy and grateful now that.
And it's important to say the now, because if you say always or I'm going to or whatever, that's in the future. It's really important to say now when you're saying these things.
Present. So it's so funny. There's been such a push. This is like talking with a friend that I get to talk to every week. So I hope you all are enjoying this conversation. I think Tessa's awesome. But one of the things that we do is there's been such a push in recent years, Tessa, for this idea of present moment awareness.
Exactly.
And people get so into the present, but because they're not fixing the programming of the past, they're still getting on a trajectory they don't want to have. So it's almost like present moment awareness married to this future version of yourself you want to become.
Exactly. You got it. You're a good student.
Well, I've been learning from one of the best. I regret that Bob Proctor passed away before I got a chance to shake his hand and say thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, this is one of those things that I've been studying for daily for the last 3 years now. And the acceleration in my life, as you've seen just in the last few months, has been insane.
Yeah.
In a good way, a good form of.
Okay, watch your words.
See, she's always telling me to watch my words.
Or what you say to yourself. I mean, this is if the audience listening, if they take nothing else, it's just really watching your words. Be kind to yourself, as kind as you would to your children or your spouse or your friends. Be kind to yourself.
That's good. I like that. So what I would like to talk about for the rest of this time, and then everybody, for those of you who have been listening to the show for any period of time, We have our conversation here for our main audience, but then Tessa's also going to give us, for our exclusive community, a couple of practical ways to build out your power script. But before we get to that, what I would like to talk about is how and when this decision happened for you, because you made a shift early on in life that
Yes.
set you on a trajectory. So tell us a little bit about your story and the decision you made early on in life.
I will, and gladly. And I want to say it's not where you come from, it's where you decide you're going to go. So my story is my mother was 14 years old. She was at a picnic, met a cute boy. He pulled her in the woods and raped her. This was in the back hills of Arkansas. As a result, she was traumatized. She didn't tell it. He told her if she said anything, he would come and kill her family. So she was so afraid to say anything to anyone. And she was pregnant by me as a result of this. And her stepmother wanted her to have an abortion by this old backcountry doctor when she was 6 months along. Now, this is a person that had 7 brothers and sisters living in this 2-room shack with a hard dirt floor, no electricity or no running water. And my mother refused. I was born in that house with a hard dirt floor, no electricity, no running water, and an outhouse out back. And though we can understand, we can really create anything that we want in our life if we decide to do it. So they made my mother marry a man. She had a little girl by him, and he was in the service. And so he came in when my sister was 2.5 and I was 4.5. And I thought he was my daddy and didn't know any better. And he picked my sister up, held her in his arms, brought her a pearl necklace and a doll, and nothing for me. It was like I didn't exist. I thought, what's wrong with me? And I went into the kitchen, and an aunt said to me, honey, don't you worry. That's not your daddy anyway. How do you process this when you're 4.5 years old? It was at that moment, though, that was the biggest decision of my life. I decided I'm going to be so cute, so smart, so everything that no one could ever ignore me again. And I became an overachiever. And as a result of this, I was able to accomplish a lot of things in my life. And so actually, the things that happen to us, we can make it either something good for us or we can be a victim. And my mother always said, you can be a victor or you can be a victim. You get to choose.
Man, that's such a powerful story. I know you cover that, and also the stories of your mother.
Yes.
In your book as well. I love them.
Yeah,
She was such a powerful woman.
Amazing. This was a woman that was from the back hills of Arkansas, had no education. She had to quit when she was in 8th grade. And though she was wise, she was a devout Christian, sang gospel songs all the time. And that served her well and really served me. She was an unbelievable role model, didn't quit. She was in an accident when she was 20 years old and crushed her from the waist down. She was in the hospital for 13 months. After 12 months, gangrene set in her left leg, and they had to amputate her left leg. And she told the psychiatrist when they came in to prepare her, do what you have to do. I have 2 little girls to raise. Well, she got out of the hospital. We were on welfare, and she didn't want to be on welfare. So she found a government program to teach people, she was a waitress before, how to be a secretary in an office. She went to school on a bus on crutches for 12 months, learning to be a secretary in an office. So that I'm grateful. That is the role model that I had. Never quit.
Yeah, never quit. You bring up a really interesting point here, because who hasn't gone through trials?
Yes.
Who hasn't gone through frustrations?
Absolutely.
I talked about this on my other podcast, The Dallas Daily Show, a little bit ago, about basically life always gives delays, denials, detours,
Yes.
sometimes depression, all of those things. And we can choose. And I understand, listen, guys, I'm going to say something mildly controversial here. Okay. I understand when I talk about it, people say, well, you're a white male. You've got the privilege of that. But every person alive has dealt with the stuff.
Yes.
And your stuff is different than my stuff, but it doesn't mean my stuff isn't valid or your stuff isn't valid.
True.
And I think the response that we have one of 2 choices. available to us. And I love the decision you said, I will never be ignored again.
Absolutely.
I will be an overachiever.
I was an overachiever. And that's the best thing because it can be hard on you. But the point
Sure.
of it is we can make a decision. It does not matter where we come from.
Yeah.
It's where we decide to go. And by the way, Dallas, I want to compliment you because what we're doing now creates our future you.
Yeah.
And the decisions that we make now is our future you.
Absolutely. The choices that you're making in the present
Yes.
are the most important thing that's going to put you on a trajectory, as well as the subconscious programming.
Exactly.
So it's present choices with the past programming is going to put you and going to help you realize that. And when we talk with the folks that are listening to this, there's so much possibility for us to just say, nope, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened, so I will never accomplish. Or gosh, I guess that's not going to happen for me. And I think the moment we do that, we really underserve ourselves. We really do an injustice.
That's so true. It's really, again, the decisions that we make. We can decide, and it doesn't matter. And I would like for people to read the book because there's so many things that I see now that was a decision.
Yeah.
I was not going to let anything stop me, and I always found a way. And I would encourage everyone to think about this. If you can't think about it, then go to a trusted friend or a trusted advisor.
Yeah.
And find a way.
Yeah.
And if not, then make a decision to change a little bit to find that way.
And I will say having a mentor is so important. You all cannot have Tessa. She's my mentor. I got her first. No. So really quickly here, Tessa, because I know in a minute we'll be talking to our exclusive community, but we started with this idea a little bit ago. You mentioned this. I am so happy and grateful now that, and that's a phrase that both you and I learned from Bob Proctor's books, but it's 8 words that can change your life. I am so happy and grateful now
I want to add something.
And I was going to say, those are 8, but I know you've got more to add to that.
It's really important to say why for positive things. Why am I so grateful and happy now that I am successful, that I am getting this sale, that I am a good mother, good father, whatever.
Yeah.
Why? It's so important to start with why when you first start these things. I mean, because then your subconscious mind starts looking for the reason for you to be happy, grateful, and successful.
Right. Well, and so Daniel Pink in his book To Sell is Human, he talks about this idea. The I'm so happy and grateful now that is considered declarative self-talk.
Yes.
But the version that you're asking, the why am I now?
Yes.
So this why am I is you actually got that from Affirmations.
From Affirmations, AFFORMATIONS. It's from Noah St. John, and he's on Amazon.
Yeah.
Even Audible. So
the first book of his that you recommended to me is called The Great Little Book of or the Great Book of Little Great Little Book of Affirmation. I've read so many now. I'm forgetting the names. The Great Little Book of Affirmations, Noah St. John. We'll have a link for that also in the show notes, everybody. But that's where he began to say, start asking the question rather than declaring the thing, because your brain is a problem-solving machine.
Yes.
And the moment you put a question to it, it begins not only answering in the affirmative, and Daniel Pink calls this interrogative self-talk.
Yes.
So it's the same basic premise, but your brain will start to try and come up with a solution.
Well, you're telling your subconscious mind, which then that comes up. This is like the hard drive that is helping you to become whatever you declare. Yeah.
So not just the declarative of I am so happy and grateful now that's the 8 words, right? We're going to add, why am I now so happy and grateful that blank?
Exactly.
All right. So that's a big takeaway, I think, for everybody.
I think so too. I mean, it really, and it's a practice. If you practice this, I can tell you, you will see amazing things when you declare. It's really like you're telling your operating system to do this.
Yeah. So, so everybody, we've been talking with one of my dear friends and my mentor, Tessa Greenspan. I am going to promote her book here a little bit. From Outhouse to Penthouse, right? This is life lessons on love, laughter, and leadership. She is incredible. This story is incredible. Not only her story, but her mother's story as well is an amazing thing. We're going to have this link as well as all of the links to connect with Tessa on social media in the show notes. We've been talking about the scripts that you've done. For those of you in our exclusive community, we're actually going to talk a little bit more about the importance of emotion and how you can trigger certain emotions to help trigger certain outcomes. I just want to say, Tessa, thank you for coming on and being here.
I'm so happy to, Dallas. I think you are wonderful. And you really need to see his daily, Dallas Daily.
Don't plug me. We're plugging you right now. But that is DallasDailyShow.com for those of you who are interested. I always like to end this portion with saying to you all, have a championship day. However, today we're going to sign off slightly differently. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let Tessa say her daily tagline to wrap up today's podcast. So thank you from me. Tessa, what would you like to say to the people?
It's a good day to have a good day.
All right, exclusive community, we're so glad you're back. We're still chatting with my friend and mentor, Tessa Greenspan. Look, this stuff works, and I'm going to let Tessa tell you how and why this stuff works from a story from her own life. But then we're also going to get a little more practical about how leveraging emotions will actually accelerate the timeline for you on getting what you ultimately want. But Tessa, how does this work? You've got a story from your own life.
Yes. Which one do you want?
How about the bankrupt business one?
Okay. All right. I have a lot of stories.
You do.
So I had a store with partners, and it was a father and son. And so our agreement was they would run the store because they had a chain of stores. They would run the store, and I would sort of be a silent partner. And I take responsibility for this. I was not paying attention. I was depending on someone. And these are life lessons for everyone here. It's really important for you to pay attention to your business. Don't let another person run it without you checking in or finding out. And so that was I take responsibility for that.
We got to pause there for just a second. Y'all, did you hear what she said? Take responsibility for your business. Take responsibility for your choices, your leadership, your life. Take responsibility for whether or not your home is an oasis of peace or whether it's a place of conflict.
So true.
Take responsibility. When you talk about the future you and who you want to be as a leader, it's not just limited to business. That's the story she's telling us now. But the important thing is your choices, your present action, your past programming are going to give you the results you want. But it's up to you to take responsibility as a leader to lead from who you want to be, not from who you are. So I'm going to quit inserting myself here.
No, that's really
And I'm going to let Tessa go back to her story.
That's really good. So my partners, after 3 years, my partners wanted a meeting, and they handed me the keys and said they were declaring bankruptcy. Well, I was shocked, traumatized, actually. I got into the books, and when I got into the books, I saw that they had siphoned so much money from the store, and I was left with $1 million in debt in today's money.
Woo.
And it was really hard. This is another really important lesson for everyone here. I was so traumatized, really, it was just so devastating. And I had to put a second mortgage on my house, a lot of other things. The thing of it is, it was tearing me up.
Mm.
And I knew that it was important for me to forgive those partners. Now, it doesn't mean that you forget about it, and I never saw them again. It was really important for me to forgive, to let it go. And unforgiveness is like taking poison and waiting for the other person to die.
Yeah.
It did not hurt them. It hurt me. So I then became like a horse with blinders on. I was going to turn that store around and make the best of it. And by the grace of God, little by little, developed that store, was able to pay off every single penny. I was then able to open a second store, 3 times the size, and eventually I built it into $10 million in sales.
That's an incredible story. And again, those things didn't happen that fast.
It was 20 years.
It was the consistency, though,
never
of the daily actions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's an incredible story. You said something really there, too, a moment ago about forgiving the partners, letting them
so
out.
Important.
Yeah, I think how often do we keep people trapped in a memory or an emotion from a moment?
It really is one of the most important things that you can do for yourself.
That's That's good.
Mhm.
So that leads kind of into this practical thing that we can leave with our team here, is this idea of you could have stayed stuck in the negative emotion,
Yes.
but you didn't. Now, first of all, yes, there was the overachiever message you had given
Yes.
yourself, and there's I'm not going to be ignored. I'm not going to
Yes.
lose, right? But also just this idea, if you had stayed stuck, yeah.
And, not but, and.
Oh, see, you see, everybody, she still corrects what I'm trying to say, and not but. That's from the earlier part of the pod. So I'm going to use the word so then as
Yeah,
my
that's
connector word
good.
right now.
That's good.
So you could have stayed stuck
Yes.
in this place of negative emotion. I'm using it here for a reason, but you did not,
Yes.
because you realized that wasn't going to serve what your goals were anyway.
That's true. And I feel that when you have a goal, go for it. Now, if you need to make adjustments, that's great.
Yeah.
If you are passionate about something and you want to do it, then you find ways. You find people that help you. You find another way and adjust and adapt. It's sort of like a plane going to a certain place. They keep adjusting so that they can get to the certain place.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we talk about emotions, we were doing this earlier with the script. Why am I now so happy and
Yes.
grateful?
Yes.
We know gratitude is a high frequency emotion.
It's really one of the most important things.
Yeah.
Oh.
What might be some other emotions that people you see regularly are dealing with that you know are not serving who they're going to become? And then how can they shift out of it?
Well, I can just give you briefly what I do.
Yeah.
Every single morning, I start with an hour with meditating first,
Mhm.
really getting into meditation. Then I have readings that I do, and then I have writings, and I write at least 10 things that I'm grateful for every single day. And so when you start your day, now you may not have that time. You, though, can really get up a little bit earlier if you really want to make a difference and change. And then I say, who may I serve today? Put them in my path so that I may serve them. And it's amazing the things that come about.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think sometimes, we can have a frustrating day.
Everybody does.
Everybody does. And we go to bed with this in our gut. It's not good when we wake up with that same.
Well, it's really important for you to do the same thing at nighttime. Maybe shorter, but before you go to sleep, just be grateful. What am I thankful and grateful for today?
Yeah.
What am I thankful and grateful for that's going to happen tomorrow? So what you put in your mind when you get up and before you go to sleep is so vital, because then your subconscious mind works on bringing all of this about.
Yeah, and you can tell, I don't know about you, Tessa, but I can tell, let me just own this one. If I have not done that properly, my dreams are much more filled with like frustration or frightening or maybe more nightmarish, because your subconscious is trying to file the day.
Yes.
It's trying to put things in the folders, and it's trying to go, we don't even know where this one goes. He was so annoyed by this. And so by releasing those things before you fall into a deep sleep, you actually have a more restful sleep and you wake up more refreshed.
And you may even ask, how is this problem? I'm going to solve this problem, or this problem is solved for me tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's really having your mind work for you while you're sleeping.
That's an amazing thing you just said there. So that same, why am I now so happy and grateful? If you can't solve something and something is frustrating you, let's just say, because it's never happened. Let's say my wife and I went to bed angry at each other. Let's say that as an example, right? That's never happened in 20 plus years of marriage. What would happen if instead of going, boy, just good night, in a frustration and falling asleep in that frustration, what might be possible for me if instead I said, why is it that my wife and I now solve this problem so easily? Or why is it that my wife and I live in such harmony with each other? Well, I've been learning from the best. So for everybody listening, again, the idea here is, what can you do to forgive and release?
Yes.
And the two best times of day to do it are
morning and night.
Yeah. And why is that?
Because morning you start the day off right, and then at nighttime you forgive yourself if it didn't, and then you put something in your mind for you to have a better night and a better tomorrow.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, think about it, everybody, as like you're descending the ladder of awakeness,
Yes.
of alertness, or you're coming up the ladder to start your day. And it's that little gateway of emotion that you can either leave your day through the gate of anger or love
Yes.
or compassion,
Yes.
and you can enter your day either through frustration or through compassion. And really, which would you rather enter and leave through in your day?
So true. So true.
Yeah.
Well, I love my life. And I think it's really important for people to say in their mirror, I love you. I love you. And another one is, I love you. I forgive you. Thank you. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you.
Yeah.
So these are really good things that will help you.
The big switch for me, and I'm going to turn this back on you. I'm going to say, I actually ask it as a question. Where I say, why is it that I now love my life?
Yes.
She taught me
Oh,
that. She
that's
forgot she taught me
good.
that. So that's a great thing to think through, everybody, is what's the gateway you're going to enter and leave the day through? Are you going to enter it through gratitude and anticipation of high-level emotion? Or are you going to release the stuff, leave that all behind, and descend to the day with gratitude for what happened and what will happen tomorrow? And then the other question is, do you love yourself? Do you love yourself enough to become the future you want to be?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You're awesome.
You are too.
Oh, I love you. All right. So, again, I usually end this part with have a championship day, everybody, but I'm going to let Tessa sing us out one more time. And I will say all the show notes are there for you from Outhouse to Penthouse. I definitely would love to have you on again.
Okay.
If you're okay coming back by.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. So I'm going to say have a championship day. And now let's toss it to her.
It's a good day to have a good day.
Thanks for listening to my dad's podcast. For more tools, go to DallasDailyShow.com. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.